It's early morning. You reach for your keys, and that small jingle travels across the house. It doesn't sound like much to you, but to your dog, it means everything. They stop whatever they were doing. Ears perk up, body goes still for a moment, and then they start moving towards you. At first, it's quiet, just following. Then closer, until they're right at your feet. You move toward the door, and that's when it happens. They sit, or maybe they pace a little. Sometimes they just look at you, wide eyes, soft, almost searching, like they're trying to remember your face. You might think, oh, they're just a little sad I'm leaving. But that's not really the whole story. There's something much deeper going on here. Something most people never realize. What your dog is doing in that moment, it's actually one of the most complex emotional responses they have, and most owners have no idea. Now, let's start with the simple explanation. The one we all believe at first. You think, well, my dog doesn't like being alone. I'm their person. So when I leave, they feel sad. That sounds reasonable, but here's the problem. If it were just about being alone, your dog would adjust pretty quickly. They'd go lie down somewhere comfortable, maybe curl up on the couch, or find that sunny spot on the floor they like so much. They have options, you know. There's the window, the quiet corner, that favorite place where they nap in the afternoon. So why don't they go there? Why do some dogs scratch at the door, or whine, or walk back and forth like they can't settle? Why do they ignore their toys, their food, even their favorite spots, and stay close to the place where you just were? It makes you wonder, why do they keep choosing you, even when you're not there? Well, it's not just loneliness. It goes deeper than that. It's about attachment. And what happens when that attachment suddenly gets interrupted? A few years back, researchers in Hungary studied this very thing. They wanted to understand how dogs bond with their owners, so they used a test that was originally made for human babies. Yes, babies. They would place a dog in a room with their owner. Then the owner would leave, then come back. Sometimes a stranger would come in too. And what they found was quite something. Most of the dogs, about 61%, showed the same kind of attachment behavior you see in young children. When the owner left, the dogs didn't just look a bit sad. They showed real signs of distress. They paced, they made sounds, they searched for their person. But when the owner came back, everything changed. Their stress dropped almost right away. Now here's the important part. When a stranger came into the room, it didn't help much. That tells us something very clear. It's not just about having company. It's about you. Your dog sees you as their safe place. So when you walk out the door, they're not thinking, I'll miss them. It's closer to, my safety just disappeared. When your dog follows you or gets anxious when you leave, they're not being dramatic. They're trying to stay close to the one thing that makes them feel secure. They're telling you, in their own way, you are their safest place. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Because this isn't just about feelings, it's also about what's happening inside the body. There was a study in Japan where researchers looked at something called oxytocin. You might have heard of it. It's often called the bonding hormone. It's what helps create that feeling of closeness between a mother and her baby. Well, they found that when dogs and their owners spend time together looking at each other, being close, both of them had a big rise in oxytocin. Not just a little, sometimes over 130% higher. And it works like a loop. Your dog looks at you, your body responds, then your dog responds even more, and it keeps going. Back and forth. It builds that connection. But here's the surprising part. This doesn't happen the same way with wolves. Even wolves raised by humans don't show this kind of response. This bond, it's something that developed over thousands of years between dogs and people. So when you leave the house, that whole system gets interrupted. Oxytocin drops. And another hormone, cortisol, the stress hormone, goes up. In some dogs, it rises quite quickly within minutes. So your dog isn't just missing you. Their body is shifting into stress. And this is important to understand. Your presence doesn't just make them happy. It actually helps keep their system calm and balanced. If you go back far enough, about 15,000 years or more, dogs didn't exist the way they do now. There were wolves living near early human camps. Some of those wolves started coming closer, not aggressive, just curious. The ones that stayed near humans, the ones that could tolerate people, they survived. Over time, generation by generation, those wolves changed. They became dogs. There's even evidence from old burial sites places in Europe and the Middle East where dogs were buried alongside humans. Not as tools, not as livestock, but as companions, as part of the family. And over time, their bodies and brains changed too. They became more tuned into us, to our voices, our movements, even our absence. So when your dog reacts when you leave, they're not overreacting. They're doing exactly what they've been shaped to do for thousands of years. Stay close to the human who keeps them safe. Now, I'll tell you about something a bit surprising. There was research looking at dogs who really struggle when left alone. They showed all the usual signs: pacing, vocalizing, stress. But when those same dogs were allowed to stay close to their owners more often, both the dogs and the owners reported feeling better overall. Even if it wasn't always convenient, even if it disrupted routines a bit. Strange, isn't it? But when you think about it, it comes down to feeling safe. Maybe your dog isn't being overly dependent. Maybe they're responding exactly the way they were meant to. And maybe it's our modern lifestyle being away for long hours that doesn't quite match what they were built for. There's also something else researchers have found. They looked at stress levels in dogs and their owners over time. And what they discovered was they tend to match. If the person is stressed, the dog's stress goes up too. If the person is calm, the dog settles. Their systems move together, in sync. But this only happens when there's a strong bond. Not with strangers, not with unfamiliar people. Only with someone they're deeply connected to. So when you leave, it's not just that you're gone physically. You're also removing something that helps regulate them inside. It's emotional, yes, but it's also physical. There's one more thing I should mention, and it's important. If your dog has always reacted a certain way when you leave, and then one day they suddenly stop, don't ignore that. Dogs are creatures of habit. When something changes suddenly, there's usually a reason. It could be something around them, a new person, a new pet, a change in routine. It could also be discomfort or pain. Sometimes the first sign isn't limping. It's a change in behavior. And in older dogs, it could be related to cognitive changes. They can't tell you what's wrong, so they show you through what they do. It's worth paying attention. So next time you pick up your keys and your dog comes over quietly, standing close, watching you, take a moment. What you're seeing isn't just a simple reaction. It's something shaped over thousands of years. A bond built on chemistry, on trust, on connection. To them, you are safety. And when you leave, it's not just that you're gone. It's that their safest place just stepped out the door. And truth be told, that connection might be doing something for you as well. If this changed the way you see your dog, you can stay with us here. And I'd really like to know, what does your dog do when you leave? And if you've ever wondered why they follow you everywhere, well, that's a story for another time.